Hey there, today we're exploring another distressing case. Ashley Harmon was a remarkable individual, beautiful, bright, and full of energy. However, her life took a difficult turn at the age of 9 when her parents went through a divorce. This period proved to be incredibly challenging for Ashley, as she assumed a maternal role for her 5 siblings, fiercely protecting them. Central to Ashley's life was her unwavering faith. As a devoted member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, her religious beliefs were paramount. Through the toughest of times, Ashley leaned on her faith in God for strength and solace, finding comfort even in the darkest moments. Ashley's unwavering faith in God provided her with a profound sense of tranquility and resilience, empowering her to conquer obstacles and face challenges with unwavering determination and courage. In 2003, during her time at Utah State University as a human development major, she encountered Emmett Corrigan, a philosophy student with a similar background. His parents had separated when he was 10, and he grappled with the aftermath until finding solace in the Mormon faith. Despite not being born into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Emmett embraced the faith at the age of 17, undergoing baptism surrounded by loved ones. Ashley found Emmett's journey endearing, and their mutual feelings blossomed. Drawn to Ashley's intellect, Emmett was captivated by her from their very first meeting, confiding in his closest friends that she was the one he wanted to spend his life with. Their relationship flourished over the months following their initial meeting, culminating in a Christmas proposal in 2008. Ashley joyfully accepted Emmett's proposal, and the couple eagerly began planning their wedding. Set against the backdrop of a Mormon temple, their ceremony epitomized their shared faith and beliefs. As they embarked on their journey as newlyweds, they were filled with boundless happiness and anticipation for the future. Ashley, a woman of deep religious conviction, held the institution of marriage in the highest regard, viewing it as a sacred and eternal bond. Within the Mormon faith, marriage is considered a divine covenant that extends beyond mortality, transcending even death itself. While divorce is discouraged and only permitted under exceptional circumstances within the teachings of Mormonism, Ashley and Emmett embraced their union with a steadfast commitment to each other and their shared beliefs. In 2005, Ashley and Emmett welcomed twin daughters into their lives, filling their hearts with overwhelming joy and gratitude at the prospect of parenthood. Emmett wholeheartedly embraced his newfound role as a father, cherishing each precious moment spent with his darling daughters. Meanwhile, Ashley reveled in the fulfillment of her long-held dreams of motherhood, embracing the opportunity to nurture and raise her children. During this time, Ashley and Emmett were both students at Utah State University, diligently balancing the demands of parenthood with their academic pursuits. Despite the challenges of juggling childcare responsibilities and coursework, they found a harmonious rhythm that allowed them to excel both as parents and students. Despite facing undoubtedly challenging times, Ashley and Emmett leaned on their deep-rooted faith and profound love for each other to conquer every obstacle that came their way. With an unwavering sense of determination, they pressed on, steadfast in their pursuit of a brighter future. In 2009, Emmett graduated from Utah State University with distinction before embarking on a journey through law school, ultimately passing the bar exam and delving into a career as a bankruptcy attorney. Meanwhile, Ashley made the heartfelt decision to remain at home, devoting herself to the nurturing care of their expanding family. While Emmett focused on advancing his career, Ashley took on the role of homemaker, pouring her energy into managing their household and guiding their 4 children through the formative years. From the outside, the Corrigan family appeared to lead an idyllic life, residing in a picturesque home with their growing brood and Emmett thriving in his professional endeavors. However, as they say, appearances can often be deceiving. In August 2010, Emmett began to feel the weight of providing for his growing family. With 4 young children all under the age of 5, the financial responsibilities became increasingly burdensome, prompting him to contemplate starting his own business. Specializing in criminal defense, Emmett's decision was solidified when a friend introduced him to Candy Hall, a paralegal with an impressive background in working for criminal attorneys. After meeting with Candy over lunch, Emmett was impressed by her expertise and professionalism, and the two quickly formed a rapport. Recognizing her value, Emmett made the decision to hire Candy for his burgeoning criminal defense firm. Candy, along with her husband Robert Hall, who was known to be an exceptional father and diligent worker, became integral parts of Emmett's team. When Candy joined Emmett Corrigan's team, she was filled with enthusiasm for her new role. Initially, her husband and children celebrated her career opportunity. However, as time passed, Ashley and Emmett began to observe shifts in their own marriage dynamics. The stress of building a business and supporting their large family weighed heavily on Emmett's shoulders. Seeking an outlet for his stress, Emmett found solace in frequent visits to the gym, which gradually morphed into something akin to an addiction. He started prioritizing his workouts at times that were inconvenient for Ashley, who bore the primary responsibility of caring for their 4 children at home. Despite the growing distance between them, Ashley and Emmett welcomed their 5th child on January 15, 2011. A son. However, Emmett's attention towards their newborn differed noticeably from the devoted care he had shown during the births of their other children. As soon as the baby arrived home, Emmett began to spend increasing amounts of time away, sometimes even overnight. In a candid conversation with her sister, Ashley revealed her genuine concerns about Emmett's activities, fearing that he might be unfaithful to her. Meanwhile, Emmett's assistant, Candy Hall, was also grappling with marital challenges of her own. She confided in a friend about her husband Rob's jealousy over her working for a young and charismatic man like Emmett. The constant discord between Ashley and Emmett was eroding their marriage. On March 6, 2011, as they commemorated their 7th wedding anniversary, Emmett was conspicuously absent. He informed Ashley that he was attending a bodybuilding convention, leaving her alone at home with their children. His absence left Ashley feeling anxious and troubled about the state of their relationship. She began to question if she was failing as a wife and causing Emmett's discontent. Despite the strain, divorce was not an option Ashley entertained. Determined to persevere through this challenging phase in their marriage, she resolved to confront the issues directly. With unwavering determination to improve their situation, Ashley embarked on a journey to address their marital difficulties with Emmett. Several days later, on March 11th, Ashley woke up with a resolute determination to foster unity in her home. Recognizing the need to mend her relationship with Emmett, she devoted the entire day to meticulously planning a special occasion, ensuring every detail was flawless. From preparing his favorite meal to tidying the house and ensuring the children were impeccably behaved, Ashley left no stone unturned. Anticipating Emmett's return from work at 6 p.m., she had the table set and eagerly awaited his arrival. However, Emmett didn't return until 2 hours later. Despite Ashley's warm greeting with a kiss, he remained distant and cold. Undeterred by Emmett's aloofness and the growing divide between them, Ashley remained steadfast in her resolve to reignite her husband's love for her. She knew that their love was worth fighting for, and she was determined to do whatever it took to rebuild their relationship. 2 hours after Ashley had finished preparing their dinner, the whole family gathered around the table to eat. However, Emmett claimed that he was not hungry, despite his wife's evident effort and attention to detail. Ashley had clearly invested a significant amount of time and thought into the meal, but Emmett's lack of interest left her feeling disappointed and hurt. As the rest of the family enjoyed their meal, Emmett suddenly stood up, announcing that he needed to drive to Walgreens. Despite Ashley's insistence that he would be right back, seemingly oblivious to her growing concern, Emmett remained determined to leave. Ashley realized that there must be something else driving Emmett's actions, and she pleaded with him to stay and connect with her. She reminded him of the importance of their family. However, Emmett's response to Ashley's plea was harsh and dismissive. He told her that she shouldn't tell him what to do, and then proceeded to leave the house, leaving Ashley feeling confused and hurt. On that same day, another problem was brewing in Emmett's life. His assistant, Candy Hall, and her husband had reached the breaking point in their marriage. Rob was packing his things and made the decision to leave their home. Despite their love for each other, Rob believed that it was best to remove himself from the situation and start anew. That evening, Rob called his daughter and asked if she was out in Candy's car. His daughter informed him that she was not. Several minutes later, Rob's daughter drove past Walgreens and noticed her mother's car in the parking lot. Without giving it much thought, she promptly called her father to inform him of her discovery. Rob's initial response was simply, "Oh, okay." Little did they know that this seemingly innocuous phone call was about to alter the course of two families forever. Meanwhile, Ashley lay in bed with her heart heavy with worry, fervently praying for her marriage to work. She had continued to text and call Emmett, desperately trying to reach him, but to no avail. Her gut told her something was amiss, and she couldn't shake the sense of unease. Around 10 p.m., a 911 call alerted dispatch to reports of gunshots and a woman screaming in the Walgreens parking lot. The police quickly mobilized, unsure of what awaited them at the scene. Was this a random drive-by shooting, a drug deal gone wrong, a robbery, or something else entirely? The police had no idea what to expect as they cautiously approached the scene. When the first officer stepped out of the patrol car, his eyes were met with a chilling sight. A man lay lifeless on the ground, and another person, still alive but wounded, was grasping his head in pain. The injured man was rushed to the hospital with a gunshot wound, leaving the police with more questions than answers. Amidst the chaos, there was one woman whom the police wanted to speak with, Candy Hall. She was present at the crime scene and identified the injured man in the hospital as her husband, Rob, and the deceased man on the ground as her boss, Emmett, who had been shot twice in the head at close range. Not long after Emmett was found dead in the Walgreens parking lot, Ashley, his wife, was jolted awake by knocking on her front door. When she answered, she was greeted by police officers who delivered the devastating news that her husband had been shot and didn't make it. Ashley was plunged into inconsolable grief and had no idea what could have led to such a tragedy. After the police informed Ashley of her husband's death, a detective questioned her about Rob and Candy Hall. Ashley acknowledged knowing Candy as Emmett's assistant and suspected there might have been an affair between her and Emmett. Candy Hall was taken to the police department from the Walgreens parking lot and questioned by detectives, who were trying to piece together the events that led to Emmett's death and Rob being shot in the head. The detectives questioned Candy about her relationship with her boss, Emmett, to which she vehemently denied any romantic involvement. When asked if they had ever engaged in intercourse, Candy adamantly denied it. According to her account, she had driven to Walgreens that night to pick up a prescription. Candy explained that she and Emmett had a chance encounter in the store, and they decided to go for a drive in Emmett's car. During the drive to a gas station, Candy's phone rang. It was her estranged husband, Rob. Candy informed Rob that she was out with Emmett. However, the conversation took a dark turn when Rob expressed his jealousy and made threatening remarks. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Candy and Emmett arrived at Walgreens. As they stepped out of the car, Candy's heart sank as she saw Rob standing at the entrance, his anger clearly visible on his face. A heated argument erupted between Rob and Emmett, escalating into a physical altercation. Suddenly, Candy heard 3 sharp pops and turned to see both men lying on the ground. She spotted the gun nearby and quickly picked it up, tossing it aside. When questioned by the detectives about who fired the first shots, Candy claimed she had no idea. The gunshot wound to Rob Hall's head was superficial, and after receiving treatment, detectives interviewed him. Rob admitted that the gun found at the crime scene belonged to him. He confessed that he and Emmett had gotten into a fight in the Walgreens parking lot, and at one point, the gun fell from his pocket. Rob alleged that Emmett reached for the gun, sparking a struggle over the weapon, during which Emmett shot him in the head. He mentioned that he couldn't recall who shot him during the struggle for the gun, likely due to his head wound from the gunshot. Understandably, the detectives were not surprised by his lack of clarity. However, they found themselves questioning whether Emmett was the one who fired the first shot, considering he ended up dead. Turning their attention to the security footage from the Walgreens parking lot, the detectives hoped to find answers. As they reviewed the footage, they observed Rob Hall arriving at the parking lot at 9:55 p.m. Just 1 minute later, Rob entered the Walgreens store, swiftly navigating through each aisle, appearing to search for someone. The security footage captured Rob exiting the store at 10:06 p.m. and parking his car beside Candy's. He then waited there for the next few minutes. Approximately 10 minutes later, Emmett's truck appeared on the footage as it pulled into the parking lot. However, the crucial moment of the shooting was not captured on camera. While initially denying any romantic involvement with her boss, Candy, Emmett's assistant, whispers among their co-workers suggested otherwise. According to them, Candy and Rob were often spotted spending a lot of time in his office with the door closed, a mere 3 weeks after she was hired, on the very day Emmett was shot. Detectives stumbled upon a curious discovery when they accompanied Candy to the public defender's office to discuss divorcing Rob. This finding raised further questions in their investigation into Emmett's murder. Crime scene investigators conducted a search of Emmett's vehicle in the parking lot and uncovered steroids in the glove compartment. Many of Emmett's loved ones were not surprised by this discovery, as Emmett had been heavily focused on bodybuilding and his behavior had been noticeably different. Some of them speculated that he was using steroids. When Candy gave her statement to the detectives, she described a peculiar shot cadence that led them to believe that Rob shot and killed Emmett 2 times before turning the gun around and shooting himself in the head. This evidence was sufficient for the detectives to obtain an arrest warrant for Rob Hall, charging him with first-degree murder. Subsequently, Rob Hall was arrested and faced severe consequences for his actions. If convicted of first-degree murder, he would either face life in prison without parole or the death penalty. As Rob Hall stood trial for the murder of Emmett, Ashley, his wife, hoped that the proceedings would bring some closure to her grieving process. She believed that obtaining answers about her husband's affair and death would provide a sense of closure. Prosecutors alleged that Rob was angry at Emmett for having an affair with Rob's wife, Candy, and blamed Emmett for ruining his marriage. According to the prosecution, Rob shot Emmett and then decided to take his own life. However, Rob Hall's defense presented a different narrative. Rob's attorneys claimed that Emmett was the aggressor on the night he died. They alleged that Emmett had a history of steroid abuse and somehow, during the altercation, he gained control of Rob's gun and shot Rob before Rob regained possession of the weapon and killed Emmett in self-defense. During Rob Hall's trial, one of the key witnesses was his wife, Candy. Her testimony during her husband's trial differed slightly from the account she gave to the police on the night Emmett was killed. While on the witness stand, Candy claimed that instead of hearing 2 gunshots in quick succession, followed by another, she heard a single pop, followed by 2 more rapid pops. This new version of events favored the defense's argument that Rob shot Emmett first before Rob regained control of the gun and shot Emmett 2 times, resulting in his death. The prosecutors needed to convince the jury that Rob, not Emmett, was the shooter in the Walgreens parking lot. To support this theory, they presented forensic evidence alleging that the type of weapon used to kill Emmett and wound Rob accumulates a significant amount of gunshot residue, GSR, after it has been fired. Following the shooting, investigators conducted a gunshot residue test on both Rob and Emmett. The results of the test showed that Rob's left palm contained 32 GSR particles, while his right palm had 23 particles. On the other hand, Emmett had 1 GSR particle on his left hand and 0 on his right. These test results indicated beyond a shadow of a doubt that Rob was the one who fired the gun 3 times. According to the forensic evidence, Emmett never had possession of the weapon. After careful consideration, the jury found Rob Paul not guilty of first-degree murder. However, they reached a unanimous decision that he was guilty of second-degree murder, indicating that the murder was not premeditated. The judge presiding over the case sentenced Rob to 30 years in prison, making him eligible for parole in 2028 when he will be 58 years old. Despite the conviction, Rob has maintained his innocence and appealed his conviction. In 2021, Rob Hall's conviction was reaffirmed by the Idaho Supreme Court, denying him a retrial. 2 months after Emmett's murder, Candy Hall was arrested and criminally charged with embezzlement for allegedly stealing money from the attorney who employed her before she started working at Emmett's office. These embezzlement charges were unrelated to Emmett's murder. Candy pleaded guilty to grand theft, a lesser charge than the original embezzlement allegations. She was sentenced to a term of imprisonment and was released in 2014 on parole. However, she currently remains on probation until 2026. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more updates. Your support means a lot